Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Campbell. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I'm here to talk today just a little bit about emotions and emotional self-regulation, and the role that we can play in what we're feeling, our emotional state, and really the effects that that has on our mind, our body, the way we interact with our environment, all of these wonderful things. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what emotions are, why they're important, and then we're going to go into some very interesting tools that we can use to have a little bit more influence over our emotional state. We're going to finish today just with a nice guided practice in this tool of heart coherence, which is a really, really wonderful state of coherence where there is this kind of syncing up between your brain and your heart, your body and your mind, and everything comes to this nice state of balance. Interestingly, it's not just that it feels good, but we actually see improvements in brain function. We see improvements in our nervous system regulation. So it's a really powerful tool for us to have, is this ability to influence our own emotional state. Quite often, we sort of think emotions happen to us. Someone says something or something happens in my environment and it makes me feel a certain way. And it's a kind of flawed way of thinking because that puts us in the receiving end, things happening to us, and it takes away our control. So today I want to talk about this concept of self-regulating, of my ability and my influence over my own emotional state. And what tools can I use to make that a little bit easier? Because it's not just at the click of a fingers I can go from really upset and impatient to relaxed and blissed out. But there is these sort of stepping stones, and what we're going to talk through is 3 tools that you can practice independently of each other that are going to make this practice easier. But when we put those 3 tools together, we really give ourselves a powerful tool in participating in our own emotional state. No longer do we have to be the victim of our situation or circumstance. We can actually start to grab a hold of that steering wheel and direct ourselves to where we want to go. So let's start with what is an emotion. So we can kind of think about an emotion as a physiological state that influences or is characterized by my cognition, my mind, the somatic sensations of my body, what's happening in my body, and my emotional or behavioral characteristics. So we might think of emotions such as anxiety or worry or fear or excitement or gratitude. All of these emotional states, or we can just call them emotions, are characterized by differences in cognition, in your body, in your behavior, and in your mind. So that really kind of gives us a definition that we can work with. Now, why do we have emotions? Well, if we can think back over the last few million years of evolution, it's an adaptive response. So evolutionary prompts have created these emotional states of certain situations give us certain emotional states. And quite often they're very useful, okay? It's really important that we have this wide spectrum of emotions, but sometimes they can affect us in a not so positive way. We really want to be able to, again, think about what is positive to us, okay? Do I want to be in an impatient, fearful, anxious, overwhelmed state all day? Or do I want to have a little bit more ability to allow those things to kind of bounce off me? Okay, and it's not to say that we shouldn't feel emotions. And the first thing I always teach in terms of emotions is that there is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong, right? It's context. Is the emotion that I'm feeling syncing up or matching with the environment that I'm in or the situation that I'm in? Okay, if it's not, then therein lies a little bit of a problem. It's not that the emotion is bad or wrong. It's that the context doesn't fit. And so that's where we can kind of input our own stimulus to try and change what I'm feeling. So emotions aren't just kind of this state. There is an effect on our nervous system, our hormonal system, so the hormones that we secrete, our neurotransmitters. It's not just the way that I'm feeling it. It influences all of these other systems and processes in the body. So it's not just that when I'm in a bad mood or when I feel frustrated, it's just my emotional state. There is a flow-on effect to all of the other systems in the body that I must take into account, okay? It's not just me feeling a certain way. There is downstream effects. And so when we're thinking about participating in our own emotional state, we're thinking about taking a hold of more of these autonomic processes in the body. I can influence my heart rate. I can influence my breathing. I can influence blood pressure and adrenaline and cortisol based on the state that I'm in. When I'm in a heightened, anxious, emotional state, there is an effect on all of those systems that I spoke about. Okay, am I going to move through the rest of my day in that heightened state? My heart rate's up, my breathing is off and out of pattern. I'm feeling tense in my body, my mind is racing. We all know, we've probably been in this situation of not making great decisions when I'm in a really heightened emotional state. Okay, I'm feeling really panicked or stressed or overwhelmed. I don't make great decisions. Why? Well, the reason being is this state of incoherence of the emotion that we're feeling when I'm frustrated or when I'm impatient or when I'm angry. We actually start to see the rhythm of the heart changes. And a lot of this information comes back to the heart. We see a more of a kind of chaotic rhythm, okay? That influences the brain. We actually see this cortical inhibition. It's as if the areas of the brain aren't so good at talking to each other. There's a little bit of an interruption in the signal. Whereas when I'm in a coherent emotional state, such as appreciation or gratitude, compassion, love, then I start to see this beautiful rhythmical rhythm coming off the heart. Okay, and what that does is creates this cortical facilitation. The parts of my brain are more in sync and more in tune with my body. I make better decisions. Okay, I have more access to this wonderful thing that we call our brain. When we're in those so-called incoherent states, we actually see a more or less of a disconnection between the prefrontal cortex, which is really the human part of the brain. This is my ability to problem solve and think of the future and remember the past and this kind of logical systems-based thinking, versus kind of the older part of the brain, the amygdala, the limbic system, which is more my emotional, reactive, responsive system. When I'm in a heightened emotional state, when I'm in an incoherent emotional state, those two regions of the brain stop talking to each other, okay? And I rely more on that fear-based emotional thinking. So when I can sync up my system, when I can bring myself into coherence, it's like I bring that human part of my mind back online. I once heard it described as bringing the adult back into the room, okay? We've got this frightened little child of our limbic system that's kind of jumping at the shadows and making decisions based on all of the scary things out there. But we can invite the adult back into the room to check there's no monster under the bed, that the shadows are just shadows. So this kind of cortical facilitation, my brain talking to the other parts of my brain, is really important for our decision making and our ability to feel in a balanced emotional state. So let's start to talk about some tools. Okay, we're going to go through 3 of these tools individually, and then we're going to put them all together at the end. The first tool, okay, that makes up this technique is what I would like to term as self-directed attention. Okay, what does that mean? Self-directed is I'm choosing where to put my attention. Right, so those of you that are listening right now, I want you, with eyes open or eyes closed, to just try and bring all of your attention onto your right hand. Okay, try and feel where your right hand is in space. You don't have to move it. What's it touching? Is there a temperature that you can feel? Where in space? Are your fingers touching something? So focus your attention onto that part of your body, kind of at the exclusion of everything else. Now I want you to take your attention from your right hand and let's see if we can place it onto the left foot. Okay, now it might take you a few moments to kind of locate where the foot is, tuning into that part of the body. What can I feel is touching the foot? Is there a different temperature? Is there tension? Is it relaxed? What's in contact? All right, so bring that sense of awareness to this part of your body. So now we're thinking of the left foot, we're probably not paying attention to the right hand anymore. So I can direct my attention. I love to think about attention as this little spotlight. Where do I shine that light? Okay, typically, when I'm in a heightened emotional state, let's call this a depleting emotion, frustration or impatience, that spotlight of my attention is shining on the problem. Okay, when I'm in pain, I shine that light on my pain. When I'm frustrated, I shine the light on the thing that's frustrating me. And my attention hones in on that. Okay, we have a tendency to focus on the problem. And again, if we think back evolutionarily, it was in our best interest to focus on the problem because that kept us alive. Right? But we live in a different world today than we did during our evolutionary phase when a lot of these systems were developed. So where you place your attention is very important. And your ability to focus on different areas of your body is a skill, okay? And it is something that can be refined and a process that can be improved on. So I love to encourage people just throughout the day, notice different parts of your body. Try and train that neurological muscle of your attention. Can I focus just on my knee? Can I focus on the space in my belly? Can I focus on my heart? And when we focus attention on the heart, some very interesting things happen. Right? Just by paying attention, just by steering my focus or my concentration into the area of the heart, we see an immediate slowing down of heart rate. We see an immediate transition towards a more stable heart rhythm, okay? And then we start to open up this doorway of our ability to start to self-regulate. So step number one, self-directed attention, right? When I'm feeling a certain way, right, where is my attention? Am I focused on the problem? Am I focused on the thing that person said? Am I focused on the person that cut me off in traffic or whatever it might be? Because where I place my attention is very important. And can I redirect and perhaps focus on a region of the body? Today, we're going to talk about the heart, and that has some very powerful effects. But it's like unsticking the Velcro of your attention. Is it stuck on the problem? Can I take it off and put it somewhere else? And that's going to help me start to redirect. The second tool is coherent breathing, okay? Coherent breathing is a very well-studied pattern of breath. And for most people, it's at about 6 breaths per minute. Now, some of us are breathing at 12, 15, 18 times a minute, okay? So to say we're going to breathe at 6 might seem very far away from your natural pattern, but it's really achievable by the vast majority of people. What's more important than that exact number of 6 breaths per minute is that it's a slow and comfortable rhythm, okay? A little bit slower and a little bit deeper than my natural breath. What I'm trying to introduce is a rhythm, okay, is a frequency of my breath that is calm. This helps shift my autonomic nervous system away from the stress response and into the relaxation response, out of the sympathetic state into the parasympathetic state. So we're going to, again, just practice for a minute together, and I want you to think about trying this on for size. Like, if this feels too slow, if it actually makes you feel like there's not enough space, there's not enough room, I'm feeling kind of anxious, then let your breath become a little bit faster, okay? As long as it's slower and deeper than your natural breath, we're in the right area. Over time, you might become more and more comfortable with that 6 breaths per minute, which is about a 5-second in and 5-second out. More important, again, than the exact duration, number one, that it's comfortable. Number two, there's no pauses. There's no hesitating. I'm not holding the breath at the top. I'm not waiting at the bottom. It is just like a wave that falls and rises and falls and rises. So let's take a moment. Again, you can close the eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. You can keep them open if you would prefer. We're going to breathe entirely through the nose, and we're going to breathe together. Right? We're going to start with about that 5 in, 5 out. If it feels too slow, you can start to modulate based on what you're feeling. Right? But let's all just take one nice full breath in, and let's let go of a nice big sigh. Let's take a little pause, and then together through the nose, we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in nice and smooth, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out nice and relaxed, 3, 4, 5. And in, feel the air coming in through your nose, 4, 5. And out, notice the shoulders relaxing, the face softening. And in, present with the breath, 4, 5. And out. As we start to establish this rhythm, maybe I could slow it down even more. So in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, relaxing into these exhales, 4, 5. And one more breath in. Feel the air flowing in, expanding in the body. And out, softening, relaxing, letting go. Let your natural breath come back and just notice how it feels. All right? Maybe it was really obvious for you. Maybe there was a shift in the way that you're feeling. Perhaps it was a little bit more subtle, okay? It's not always going to be really, really obvious, but we want to pay attention to how that felt, okay? Now, the third aspect is this self-generated emotion, right? And I want you to talk through why this, I want to talk through why this works, okay? If we think, like, it's really interesting that the fact that we can do this and that we only often do it in one aspect. If I asked you to think back to a really bad memory, a time that was perhaps overwhelming or traumatic or a very specific incident or event that you would associate with a bad memory, if I got you to replay that in your mind, if I got you to kind of go back and think of that, we would start to feel the memory. We would start to tense our body, our breathing rate would increase, okay? I would start to feel perhaps a little bit anxious or overwhelmed or stressed. This isn't just cognition, this isn't just thought. Our body is replaying that event. And this goes as far as if we put you on a nice sensitive monitor, we would see your heart rate goes up. We would see your blood pressure goes up. We would start to see cortisol and adrenaline being released. Your body is kind of replaying that memory, okay? What we kind of know about neuroscience now is that your brain is not very good at knowing the difference between a memory and something that's happening to you right now. If we think about things like PTSD, okay, my body is replaying that moment. It's living that experience moment by moment. Now, the same thing would happen if I got you to think back and think of a wonderful memory. Right? You could picture someone you love smiling. You can go back to a time or a place or an experience or an event that you felt overwhelming gratitude and excitement. And again, you would start to have this uncontrollable smile. Your heart rate would slow down. We would actually start to see you secrete some oxytocin, the bonding hormone. So we have this wonderful ability to draw on memory to create a shift in our emotional state. Most of the time we're replaying bad things. We're thinking back to the thing that went wrong, what I could have done better. And I'm re-experiencing that quote unquote negative or depleting emotional state. So why don't we learn to use the good memories, the good times in our life, to create that nice positive boost in our emotions. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these three things together. We're going to direct our attention, we're going to create a coherence of our breath, and then we're going to draw on that positive or renewing emotion to see the effect that it has. So I would invite all of you, this is going to be the last part of this presentation, this webinar. So get nice and comfy. If you've got the space and the time, we'll be here for about 5 or 10 minutes, just a nice short guided practice. But comfort is the most important thing here. So you might want to grab a pillow, you might want to lean back against the wall or a couch, somewhere where you can relax the body. And before we jump in, I want you to just cast the net back of your memory, right? When was a time that you felt really, really grateful, really appreciative, perhaps excited, elated, when you felt really strong compassion or love, or when you felt awe or wonder? Now, it can be a person, it can be a pet, it can be a place, it can be an experience. Quite often I take myself to a beautiful place in nature, sitting in the rainforest and listening to the trees and just the nature surrounding me. And that puts me into a very coherent, calm state. And I feel awe and I feel wonder. For other people that I work with, it's thinking back to a person and seeing that person smile. And lots of people actually use their pet when you get home at the end of the day and your dog's there wagging its tail to greet you. Like, that makes you feel really grateful. Fine. So I want you just to take a moment to kind of think back to a certain time, place, person, pet, experience that gives you one of those nice renewing emotions: gratitude, awe, wonder, compassion, love, excitement. So that when we get to that aspect of our guided breath and meditation, you can think back to that memory. But let's take a moment to just play with our attention. Again, if you feel comfortable, you can close down the eyes. And I want you just to notice the space around your body. So with your eyes closed, just start to envision where you are. Are you in a room? Where are the walls, the roof? Right? Kind of casting your attention outwards and seeing yourself in the space. Let's start to come back towards the body. What can you feel your body is in contact with? Are you sitting on a surface? Are you leaning back against a surface? Can you feel clothing on your skin? Is there anything else you can pick up on? The physical sense of your body. Is there a breeze playing across your skin? Anything that you notice. And let's again continue to refine that attention. I want you to focus on the point that's just behind your eyes. There's an empty space there, just behind the eyes. Tune into that space. Just notice what's in that space. And thinking about your attention like that little spotlight, I want you to shine that light on your throat. Maybe you feel the skin in that area, sort of connecting to that space, that physical location. And then let's move that light down, and I want you to shine that light into the center of your chest. Just feel the actual physical location right in the center of your chest. You can place one hand over your heart, or both, or you can keep your hands relaxed. And I want you just to hone in, focus your attention on that space in the center of the chest. Feel the skin, feel the sternum. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper. The physical location of your heart. So center of your chest, center of the body, just tune into that space where your heart is. Maybe you're actually feeling the beat of your heart now. Great. Doesn't matter if you're not. But I want you just to tune into that physical space. And I want you to keep your attention there. It will wander, okay? A thought is going to pop into your head, a noise, a distraction, and your mind will skirt away. But your job here is just to draw your attention back and focus on the space of the heart. Now let's have a look for our breath. We're going to breathe entirely through the nose, and we're going to breathe a little bit slower and a little bit deeper. Right, so start to slow the breath down, but allow it to become nice and full. Trying to find that coherent rhythm of breath. So around about 5 in and 5 out. Doesn't have to be exact. Slower and deeper than your natural breath. A comfortable rhythm. And let's combine those two things. As you breathe in, I want you to imagine breathing in to your heart, into the center of your chest. Feel it physically expand. That's exactly what's happening as you breathe in. As you breathe out from the center of your chest, from your heart. So as we breathe in, there's expanding around the heart, and as we breathe out, there's a contracting. Can I envision, maybe it's visual in my mind, maybe it's tactile in my body, but just as you breathe in, breathe into your heart. As you breathe out from your heart. Smooth, slow, and a little bit deeper than your natural breath. So step 1 is the attention, step 2 is the breath. Step 3, we start to think about that emotion. So I want you to make a really sincere attempt at re-experiencing that positive, renewing emotion, right? Go back to that time, that place, that person, that memory. Now, this is not intellectual. I'm not thinking. I want you to try and feel. What did my body feel like in that moment? When I was experiencing that sense of gratitude, that sense of love, or that sense of awe, what did it feel like in my body? So try to let your body re-experience that moment. Think of the details. Think of anything that's going to enhance or strengthen this memory. Were there other people? Was it outside, inside? Was there any sensations or feelings that I can embody? So your breath is flowing in and from your heart, tuned into this part of the body, and really trying to almost transport yourself back and let your body feel. And if you feel the hints of a smile, let that smile come across your lips as you continue to breathe into your heart, as you continue to draw on that memory. We're just here for another minute or so. Is there any other details? And remember, if your mind wanders or is pulled in another direction, that's okay. Come back to feeling your heart, come back to your breath, come back to drawing on that memory. And then perhaps trying to find where that feeling is in your body and let it expand. If it's in your heart, let it start to encompass the chest, the shoulders, maybe down the arms, traveling down the spine, up into the head. So begin to let that feeling or that emotion start to take up more space in the body, maybe breathing a little bit deeper, breathing that emotion, that energy through your body. Let's just take 2 more breaths. And then I want you to let go of your breath, let go of the control. Start to allow your attention to move from that specific location of the heart and let it encompass the entire body once more. Feel your feet, feel the palms of your hands, feel the crown of your head. And again, can we cast that attention out from the body, what's surrounding my body? Where are the walls, the floor, the roof? Where am I located in that space? And just take a moment to observe how you feel. Maybe slowly blinking open the eyes. And you might notice the colors are a bit brighter, the lights shining, the change in your perception. Maybe you're a little bit more aware of how your body is feeling, how your breath is moving. So I really wanted to just shine a little light on this wonderful tool that we have in participating in our own emotional state. Things don't just have to happen to you. Not everything has to be a reaction or a response to something external. You can kind of dive in and grab a hold of that steering wheel and direct your emotional state. And using those 3 steps is going to enhance that practice. Where is your mind, right? Am I focused on the problem? Am I focused on the negative aspect of what I'm feeling? Can I redirect my attention to something else or to a certain part of my body? The heart is the most powerful aspect of that. Number 2, my breath. Is my breath chaotic? Is it rapid? Am I breathing quickly or slowly? Let's bring a rhythm or a frequency to the breath that's going to calm the nervous system. Let's shift the autonomic nervous system into a more balanced state. Once I'm there, I can then start to draw on that emotion that I want to feel. What do I want to feel? Calm, balance, ease, excitement, gratitude. Okay, there's a whole array of emotional states that we can begin to draw on. And you might have different memory triggers to those states. Okay, it doesn't have to be the same one every time. But really, this is the difference between trying to think your way out of an emotion, which most of us know doesn't work, right? Someone tells you to think positive and you're in a bad mood, it kind of makes you more in a bad mood. Because there is it's not syncing up. What's happening in your mind is not meeting what's happening in your body, right? Because there's that state of incoherence from your body. So by shifting your attention, by shifting your breath, we create coherence in the body, and then we can introduce that cognition or that thought or emotion, which kind of syncs up with the body and it lands. And you'll start to feel a nice, obvious effect of how that creates that shift in your body. This is a practice. It's a skill, for lack of a better description. So don't be worried if you think, well, it didn't really create this huge, wonderful shift. It's probably the first time you've ever done it. I'd encourage you to either come back to this video, or I have a couple of extra videos on my YouTube that go through this tool of heart coherence and emotional regulation. So I thank you for joining. I really wanted to just jump on and share this powerful tool. Lots of people ask me about heart math. And I think it is a tool that many people can utilize and to start having a little bit more influence over the way that they're feeling. If this hopefully was enjoyable to you, please leave a comment, please share. head on over to Earth Heroes and join this conscious content platform. There's lots of exclusive content on there. Also sign up to my YouTube and reach out if you would like to begin to be an active participant in the way that you feel and becoming a little bit more of a controller of how you move through life and not being as reactive or things happening to you. There's a link just below to book a complimentary consult. We can jump on a phone call and have a chat into how some of these tools might really be instrumental in helping you create a bit of a shift and a change in your life. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you found a little bit of value from these practices, and I hope you can start to introduce them into your day-to-day. My name's Campbell from Breath Body Therapy. Thank you for joining, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.